that's what will build our healthy eating. We'll give you a template for healthy eating. And then I'm going to cover tips to simplify meal preparation. And then I'll cover healthy eating during the holidays and beyond, and then I'm going to give you some recipe resources. So basically, the new template for healthy eating is called choosemyplate.gov, and I'm going to cover fruits, vegetables, grains, dairy, and protein briefly to give you an idea of what a healthy plate looks like. So the first group I'm going to cover is the fruit group. The main message is to focus on whole fruits. So any fruit or 100% fruit juice counts as part of the fruit group, and fruits may be fresh, canned, frozen, dried, and maybe whole, cut up, or pureed. Now, if someone has diabetes, it's best to focus on the whole fruit and not in fresh fruit too, because dried fruit tends to have the liquid taken out, and so the amount of carbohydrate in dried fruit can be very high. So it's probably better for you to eat a whole orange as opposed to dried apples or dried apricots, and to have orange, the whole orange, instead of fruit juice. They do recommend that you focus on whole fruits more than drinking 100% juice, and recommend snacking on fruits instead of cookies, brownies, and other sugar-sweetened treats, and to offer whole fruits without saturated fat, sodium, or added sugars as a dessert. And half your plate should comprise fruits and vegetables. If you look at the Choose My Plate icon graphic, it shows that fruits and vegetables are half of your plate, and that's what it should be. And what counts as a cup of fruit? So a cup of chopped diced fruit, a cup of 100% fruit juice, half a cup of dried fruit, a small apple, a large banana, or a large orange or peach. Those are all a serving or a cup of fruit. And we get potassium, dietary fiber, vitamin C, and folic acid from fruits. The next group is the vegetable group. They recommend that we vary our vegetables and try to eat vegetables from all colors of the rainbow. So make your plates as colorful as possible, because you're going to get a good variety of phytochemicals and vitamins in eating from all different color groups. So any vegetable or 100% vegetable juice counts as a member of the vegetable group, and like fruits, you can have vegetables raw or fresh or frozen or canned, dried or dehydrated or cooked. If you do buy canned vegetables, they recommend rinsing them or to buy no salt added, because part of the canning process adds sodium to the foods. So if you rinse any canned food, you'll remove about 40% of the sodium. They recommend that you vary your vegetables to include red, green, and orange choices. Orange vegetables such as carrots, sweet potatoes are loaded with carotenoids and are good choices. They recommend that you add fresh, frozen, or canned vegetables to salads, side dishes, and recipes, and also to prepare your vegetables without sauces or gravies or glazes to lower the amount of sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars. And in general, the darker your vegetables are, the more nutrients they contain. So if you have a choice between iceberg lettuce, romaine lettuce, or spinach, spinach is the darkest, and it's usually the darker the vegetable, the more nutrients it contains. With vegetables, what counts as a cup of vegetables? A cup of raw cooked vegetables, 100% vegetable juice, or 2 cups of raw leafy greens is considered 1 cup of the vegetable group, or a medium baked potato. Now, the main theme from the grain group is to make half of your grains whole grains, and they recommend you choose whole grain foods more than refined grains, and make at least half the amount of grains you eat each day whole grains. Oatmeal, whole wheat flour, and popcorn are examples of common whole grains. And what counts as an ounce equivalent from the grain group? A slice of bread, half an English muffin, a cup of ready-to-eat cereal, half a cup of cooked rice, pasta, or cooked cereal, or 3 cups of popcorn. And if you are eating popcorn, they recommend eating natural popcorn, without the added butter. You can season it with herbs. The main theme from the dairy group is to move to low-fat and fat-free dairy. So choose fat-free or low-fat milk products and buy low-fat or fat-free cheese more often than regular cheese. And any item made from milk that retains the calcium content are part of this group, but items like cream cheese, cream, and butter that have little to no calcium are not considered part of the dairy food group. They're more fats. Men and women aged 19 to 51 plus are recommended to have 3 cups of milk or milk equivalents a day, and that could be a cup of milk or yogurt, 1.5 ounces of natural cheese, 2 ounces of processed cheese, or 2 cups of cottage cheese. And when eating processed cheese, just be aware of the added sodium. And so if you are eating processed cheese, try to eat reduced sodium, reduced fat processed cheese, such as American cheese. And cottage cheese can be high in sodium too, so we recommend that you buy no salt added cottage cheese. And milk provides calcium, protein, potassium, and vitamin D. And the next group is the protein group, and they recommend to vary your protein routine, so mix up your protein foods to include seafood, beans, nuts, seeds, soy, eggs, lean meats, and poultry. Most meat and poultry choices should be lean or low fat, such as boneless, skinless chicken breasts. They recommend you select seafood twice a week, including fish and shellfish, and add beans or peas, unsalted nuts and seeds, and soy in main dishes and snacks. They also recommend to limit excess sodium, fat, and added sugars. For everyone age 14 and older, it's mainly recommended to not exceed 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, but if you have hypertension or prehypertension or are sodium sensitive, your recommendation may be down to 1,500 milligrams a day. And we should keep our saturated fat consumption to less than 10% of total calories per day, with total fat consumption being less than 35% of total calories per day, and added sugar should also be less than 10% of calories per day. Now, if you go to the ChooseMyPlate.gov website, there's a myriad of resources available to you for free. There's something called a super tracker that can help you plan, analyze, and track your diet and physical activity. You can sign up for an account free of charge and log your daily intake. And the Myplate daily checklist shows your food group targets, so how much you need to eat within your calorie allowance of each of the different colored vegetables and grains and protein foods and dairy. And the great thing about this website, it lets you get a customized food plan based on your age, sex, weight, height, and physical activity level. So you can get a personalized plan. There's also recipe resources that I'm going to cover later, but it's just a wonderful resource for healthy eating that you can use, and for everyone in your family, because it has recommendations for children and older adults and cooking tips. It's just a wonderful resource. So next I'm going to cover tips to simplify meal preparation.
Maria?
Yes.
Hi. While you're still on the building blocks,
Yeah.
I had a good question come in, and I just wanted ask this before we move on to the next. It says, please cover those foods that cause or prevent constipation.
Oh, sure. Okay. Now, with constipation, they recommend eating more fiber in your diet, but whenever you increase your fiber, they recommend to increase your fluid intake too. So if you increase the fiber in your diet, please increase your fluid intake. We should have at least 25 grams of fiber a day. And eating whole grain foods, eating fruits with the peel helps because that increases the fiber content. Fiber helps with gastric motility, so it helps clean out your system, and it helps it helps you process your food faster. So if there's any toxins or anything, it just moves through your body quicker and out your body. So things like prunes are good, apples, applesauce, and trying to get your recommended fiber through foods is best. So whole grains are a source. Sometimes food is fortified, like so if you get bread, it's actually fiber-enriched bread, so it's got 6 grams of fiber per slice, things like that.
And are there any foods that cause constipation?
Well, foods that don't have a lot of fiber will have more difficulty moving through your gut. I mean, highly processed food, I don't think necessarily that they would cause constipation.
They just don't
but
add to your fiber, so they don't help you.
Yeah, and I've heard some things that iron, but I mean, I just think that a balanced diet will help. But also physical activity helps with constipation because it helps the peristalsis in the body. So if you can walk a bit and have some physical activity, that should also help with constipation because it helps with peristalsis.
Oh, good point.
Which helps things move through your body quicker.
All right.
But definitely if you increase fiber, increase your fluid because that helps bulk up the fiber and helps it to move through your system.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so now we're going to talk about simplifying meal preparation. A good way to simplify meal preparation is to plan. So if you plan weekly menus and grocery shopping lists based on what's in season and what's on sale, you can plan for the whole week and try to save money at the same time. So if you buy food that's locally grown, that's in season, it's usually fresher, it tastes better, and it usually preserves most of its nutrient content if it's close to the source. So for example, if you buy squash from a local Virginia farmer versus waiting for it to come from Chile, it's probably fresher and it has more nutrition in it. Another good option is frozen because items are frozen at the peak of freshness and they're usually flash frozen on site, so you do preserve a lot of that nutrition if you buy frozen items. And when you're planning your menu, you can plan your menu such that if you have a rotisserie chicken on Monday, you can use the leftover chicken and make chicken noodle soup for Tuesday and then still have chicken salad on Wednesday so that you're minimizing your preparation, but you're still having a different variety of foods. Or chicken Caesar salad, so you're adding romaine lettuce to the leftover chicken and adding some whole grain roll and to have a balanced diet, but you're not having to do a lot of meal preparation because you're reusing things that you already have used. Another tip is to keep your kitchen stocked with staples like frozen vegetables, frozen chicken breast, tomato sauce, whole grain noodles, brown rice, beans, and canned or fresh fruit so that you can throw a quick meal together with these items. And you can combine them in various different ways for a nutritious meal. When you come home from the grocery store, they recommend chopping fruits and vegetables so that you have a supply of chopped vegetables on hand for snacking or adding to salads rather than choosing high-fat chips or things like that because you'll always have a healthy option in the fridge. And if you're able to and it's on sale, purchasing pre-cut vegetables such as sliced mushrooms, matchstick carrots, cubed butternut squash, broccoli florets, it does save a lot of time during meal prep. So it can help make your meal preparation faster. Now, some people like to cook in large batches, so if you have a very popular family recipe that everyone in your family loves to eat, you can prepare a double batch of that and have it during the week, but also freeze a portion of that for another meal in a subsequent week so that you have less meal preparation to do. Another option is trying one-pot meals. So this is one pot that includes all components of a balanced meal. Half of it should be non-starchy vegetables, because half your plate should be vegetables, and a quarter of your plate should be protein, and a quarter should be whole grains. And your one-pot meals may be steamed, sautéed, stewed, or baked. We try to avoid frying things because that adds a lot of added fat. And one-pot meals are very convenient and are easy to clean up. Another option, which is another one-pot meal, is crock pot cooking. You can add chopped vegetables, meat or beans, seasonings, and liquid, and safely cook over low heat all day while you're away from home. And it yields a large amount of food with minimal effort. And usually the food that's cooked in a crock pot is very tender. So if you are caring for someone who has trouble chewing, the foods that come out of the crock pot usually are very soft and tender. You can make stews and soups and chilies and different things in crock pots, and it's a very convenient way of cooking. Another good option is to use a pressure cooker to cook meals, because it cooks about 1/3 faster than conventional methods, and it preserves water-soluble vitamins and minerals better than in a regular pot. When you are cooking water-soluble, things like vitamin C and vitamin B are water-soluble. So, for example, if you're cooking broccoli, broccoli has a high content of vitamin C. You don't want to boil the broccoli in water because vitamin C is water-soluble. If you boil it in water, all the vitamin C content will go into the boiled water, the water you use to boil the broccoli, and you won't get that unless you drink that water. And I don't know anyone who drinks the water that the broccoli is boiled in. So if you steam the broccoli or microwave it, you do retain the vitamin C content in the broccoli. Now, vitamin A, beta-carotenes, those are fat-soluble. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble. So, for example, carrots are high in vitamin A. The vitamin A in carrots is more bioavailable to you if you saute the carrots in a little bit of olive oil than it is if you eat the carrots raw, because vitamin A is fat-soluble. It's stored in your fat cells. So for vitamins B and C, we need a daily source of, because they're water-soluble, we need a daily source of vitamins B and C. Any extra we ingest, we excrete in our urine, but vitamins A, D, E, and K we store in our fat cells. Now I'm going to touch on healthy holiday eating. And when you're invited to a party, it's best to have a healthy snack such as raw vegetables and hummus before attending holiday parties. So it'll help you curb your appetite and hopefully help you not overeat at the party. I think having a snack of a combination of a little bit of protein and some high fiber, low calorie food is a good option for a snack. Or you could snack on 23 almonds is 1 ounce of almonds. That's a good snack. So I do recommend using a little bit of protein. And if you can mix a little bit of protein, a little bit of carb, a little bit of fat in your snack, that will help with satiety. Now, things like eggnog and other holiday beverages can be laden with calories. If you are indulging in holiday beverages, they do recommend drinking a glass of water between each holiday beverage to minimize overindulgence and to minimize calories. And if you have hot chocolate and it's topped with whipped cream, you can choose either lower fat whipped cream or just avoid the whipped cream completely to save some calories. And also, watching your portion sizes is important, because a serving of turkey is only about the size of a deck of cards, which is about 3 ounces. Or another rule of thumb is the size of your fist. So if you have a plate full of turkey, that might be 5 portions of turkey. And Higher fat items such as gravy, they actually recommend you limiting your servings of that and just maybe using a tablespoon of gravy on your turkey and to save a lot of calories and fat and sodium. If you survey party buffets before filling your plate, it will help you in choosing what you're going to eat, and opting for small tastes of everything to avoid overindulging is also another way to avoid overeating. Filling your plate with lean protein, roasted or sauteed vegetables or salad is another good option at holiday parties, and eating until you're satisfied but not stuffed. And eating slowly helps too, because sometimes it takes a while for us to sense our satiety. And getting enough sleep will help with satiety because when we don't get enough sleep, there's a hunger hormone that makes you want to eat more, and also eat things that are high in carbohydrates and fat. But when you do get enough sleep, you are more able to regulate that and hopefully avoid overeating. And during the holidays, they recommend taking the focus off foods, not fruits. You always want to have fruits, but take the focus off foods. Instead of baking holiday cookies, they recommend making holiday crafts. And also, it's important to plan time for exercise. So if you can go for 3 10-minute walks each day, that's actually really beneficial for your health. So you don't have to exercise for a very long time. 10 minutes of aerobic activity at different intervals is beneficial to your health. And when you're cooking during the holidays, they recommend adding more vegetables and fruits and less bread to the holiday stuffing, using low-fat and low-sodium vegetable broth in cooking. And a nice way to minimize some of the carbohydrates in your meal is to substitute cauliflower for mashed potatoes. And it can taste really good. Eating Well has a good recipe for cauliflower mash, and it's really simple to make. Substituting low-fat or skim milk for whole or heavy cream, and try using a combination of white flour and whole wheat flour in recipes that have usually called for white flour. They'll help you get more fiber in your meals. And use whole grain breads, rice, and pasta instead of white pasta. Recommend you bake, grill, or steam instead of frying, and using herbs and spices to add flavor in foods in place of salt. So these are some of the things we can do to eat healthier during the holidays. And I have some recipe resources for you. One of the What's Cooking USDA Mixing Bowl is a really good resource, as well as Eating Well, and the Diabetes Organization has recipes too, and the American Heart Association at www.heart.org is another good resource. But I'm going to try to take you through to Choose My Plate and see if I can show you the wonderful resources here. So this is called What's Cooking USDA Mixing Bowl, and you can get all sorts of recipes through this resource, and you can search for recipes too. So, for example, just say I want to make chili. And chili is a nice, easy winter meal to make. Okay. And to simplify meal preparation, I think they have a 30-minute chili, which is a quick chili to make. Oops. But anyway, you can search any recipes you want and print out the recipe. Let's see, sorry. Okay, just try the 3-bean chili. Oh. Oops. Sorry, let me get back to the right website.
Oh, I see. That's the large quantity recipes that you
Yeah,
were
I'm
in.
sorry. Yeah, I was in the wrong part. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. I didn't even realize that they have recipes on this website. So recipes and menus, eating,
Yeah, and
uh, healthy eating on a budget cookbook. Okay, I think yeah. So you can just click on different things.
yeah, and I found a good 30-minute recipe for chili. It's only got a few quantities. So I think this is it here.
A few
So
ingredients.
chili,
Uh-huh.
the Three Sisters stew, two bean chili, easy chili
Oh,
mac.
okay. So these are 4
Yeah,
servings, 6 servings. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So the 30-minute chili is something quick you can make for your family. Um,
Yeah, it's nice to know though if you're cooking for your football team or something and you need 50 or 100 servings, this is a place to come to get them.
Yeah, so there are a lot of quick recipes. You can get a lot of crock pot recipes. Um, there's some available on the American Diabetes Association website, but it does include the nutrient analysis a lot of times. Websites like All Recipes let you scale the recipe. So if it's for 8 people and you only want to make it for 6, you can scale those recipes and they will adjust accordingly. So does anyone have any questions?
Well, Maria, can you go to the part of this where people would get their personalized
Sure.
suggestions? And you can do
Yeah.
that. When you do that, you can do that for yourself or your loved
Or your,
one or
your loved one. So
as many
it's
people as you want.
exactly.
Uh,
You just need an email. You can subscribe, but if you want to use the Super Tracker, you would create an account. So ChooseMyPlate.gov has lots of resources. So it has information on fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, dairies, oils, um, and they're really recommending something called a healthy eating style. So they want you to count everything you eat and drink, and they want to help you choose beverages with lower calories, lower added sugar, and they also recommend physical activity, but the online tools is what I'm talking about. So the Super Tracker. And you can calculate your BMI too. Um, this gives you a little tool for adults or children, and you just enter your height and your weight, and then you can calculate it, and they'll tell you. So just let me do a sample, say a 5'10" man who is 185 pounds. So his BMI would be 26.5, which would be overweight. So below 18.5 is underweight, 18.5 to 24.9 is normal, and 25 to 29 is overweight, and above 30 is obese. Now that can be affected by muscle mass, so if you do have a high muscle mass, the BMI doesn't quite work that well for
Now
athletes.
that was just adult BMI, so it's not they don't ask you about gender if you're a male or a female for the BMI.
No,
But
no, not
when you
for,
get your
no.
calorie stuff, do they do that? Like how many
Yeah,
calories do I
yeah.
need?
So the profiles. So this is test person.
Okay.
Test person or test. Just call it test one. So
Okay.
the age, just say they are 50 years old and they are male and they get less than, so there's different physical activity levels. You can have less than 30 minutes of moderate activity, 30 to 60 minutes of moderate activity, more than 60, and then, or based on weekly activities I enter. So you can actually track the activities you do. So let's just say
Oh,
this person has 30 to 60 minutes of moderate activity, and they are 6 feet tall, and they weigh 190 pounds. So now if you did want to save that, now your goals, so the super tracker would say, do you want to maintain your weight, do you want to lose weight, or reach your goal weight? So just say they want to maintain their weight.
mm-hmm.
And then now, if you want to use the super tracker to track everything, they do recommend you have to register to save your profile. So you'll need a username and password, and you can get a password hint, and you need an email address. I'm not going to create one right now, but you would save your profile to use this as a tool. So,
Okay,
so
and
my,
that's amazing how it ties into your physical activity tracker if you have an account.
yes.
So,
So this is
okay.
my plan. So after I've put that in, I need 2,800 calories per day to maintain my weight. It says that I should have 10 ounces of grains per day, and 5 of them should be whole grains. And what counts as a serving is 1 ounce of grain would be a slice of bread, cooked pasta, and then I would need 3.5 cups of vegetables per day. Now, they do break down your recommendations for vegetables. So dark green, I need 2.5 cups of dark green vegetables a week. Red and orange, I need 7 cups per week. Beans and peas, I need 2.5 cups per week. Now, starchy vegetables are like potatoes and corn and peas. I need 7 cups of that. And then other vegetables like cauliflower, things like that, 5.5 cups. So it lists all the what you need for your meal plan.
Wow, there's a wealth of information on this site here.
Yeah, and let me see if I can. Now, food tracker. So just say I ate oatmeal this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I can write oatmeal. And then oatmeal regular, how much I had, half a cup of oatmeal, and I had it for breakfast, and I'm going to add it to my test one meal. And you can just keep adding foods. So I had a cup of milk with that, and it was fat-free, and the quantity was 1 cup. I had it for breakfast. I can add that. So it tracks the calories I've eaten. So the oatmeal had, so total calories I've eaten so far is 155 with the oatmeal and the milk, and you can keep adding, and it'll keep track for you.
And if you have an account,
You can
this
go back in.
information gets
Mhm.
stored,
Yes,
so you can look
and
at
you
your
can
whole
go every
week.
day. Yes, and you can track. So you can track your food and activity. It's just a wonderful, it's a free resource. It's a government website,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great resource. Lots of, because you can, um, I mean, you can get recipes, you can track your activity, you can, so there's even a physical activity tracker. So based on the physical activity things you partake in, it will actually tell you, it'll base you, because one of the options when you're creating your profile was to see the the physical activity things you did during the week, and they count that. So I know Lucy is a yoga instructor, so let's say we did yoga. Is it Vinyasa?
Hatha.
Hatha.
Uh-huh.
Hatha yoga. Okay, so we did Hatha yoga, and how many, we did it for 60 minutes?
60 minutes
And we,
every
5
day,
days
but
a week?
just
Oh,
put
every
3
day.
days. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then we add that. So it shows that we've had a Our target's 150 minutes. We actually exceeded that with 240 minutes of yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it also asks you to have muscle strengthening too.
Oh, this is great. Thank you for showing that, because I think once you've actually seen it, you're more likely to get on here and really play around with it than just hearing like, oh, there's this good website, go on it. So thank you. I'm glad you were able to show it to
And
us.
then,
Mm-hmm.
sure, and you can enter your steps. You can, and if you have a Fitbit, it actually connects with your Fitbit.
Oh, wow.
And then oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It shows your calorie limit. It shows your daily food intake, physical activity target. So it's, yeah. And you can add your personal goals to the Coach Center.
All right, that's wonderful. I would like to remind the participants that if you have any questions for Maria, just type them into the question box and I will read them to her. Also, Maria, I do have another question here. Are canned fruits and vegetables really nutritious?
They, I personally prefer fresh fruits and vegetables, but when you can't get access to fresh fruits and vegetables, canned fruits aren't a bad choice if you get them packed in juice. Sometimes when they're canned, they do add extra sugar and light syrup, and I don't think that's so healthy. But the whole fruit. So if you have a choice with applesauce, I don't think there's no peel in that, and a lot of the nutrients in apples are contained in the peel, so you lose some of that with canned. But what they recommend is everything should be consumed in moderation. So you can include canned fruit um, as part of a healthy diet, but personally I prefer if you're able to get fresh fruit or frozen fruit. Those are good options.
All right, thank you. What can I do about a person I'm caring for who will hardly eat and is losing weight?
Oh, I would definitely check with their doctor. Sometimes it can be a tooth or mouth issue, and make sure they're able to chew and swallow. And sometimes if people are on certain medications, the food tends to taste funny and they don't. I think I heard that if people are undergoing chemotherapy, food tends to taste metallic, so that can alter their taste. What we have recommended sometimes is trying to pack as much nutrition into the food. So if you're serving a soup, and the person has no lactose intolerance, try to add some non-fat dry milk into the soup, so they're getting extra calcium and extra protein. And so that item is very nutrient dense. I know when I was an intern in the hospital, we would supplement with high protein supplement shakes sometimes if they needed that. I think with the hospital I was in used something called Boost High Protein, but definitely working with the person you're caring for to see what they might want to eat, and if necessary, definitely working with your doctor to see if there's some things you can do to stimulate appetite. Um, but trying to get as many calories as healthy calories in is better. So um, things like bacon would be empty fat, although they're high calorie. Um, and at times it might mean liberalizing the diet. So renal diets tend to have very low sodium in them and they're not very appealing. So if the person's not eating, the doctor may actually say you can liberalize the diet a little bit so that they will eat more.
Okay, yes, so taste is one thing, and yes, you do reach a point where having a person maintain their weight or stop losing weight can become can become very important, but any changes to a diet for a reason like kidneys or heart disease or anything, then you definitely want to do that, as you said, in conjunction with the doctor. Check their medications is another thing that I heard you say.
Yeah,
And definitely nutrient density, packing as much nutrition into a small
quality of food.
package
Yeah.
as possible. And I believe you also mentioned if it could be a tooth or an oral issue. So can you talk about, like, if somebody is starting to find it hard to chew or swallow?
Yes. So if someone's having a trouble, well, depending on how severe, sometimes if people have had a stroke, they have dysphagia and they have a difficulty chewing, you'd need to go to get um, tested with a barium swallow to see, and then you might need honey thick, nectar thick foods. But if it's just trouble chewing the food, cooking things well, so not serving hard things like carrot sticks that are hard to chew, but cooking the carrots till they're soft and they're able to be chewed and swallowed. Eliminating choking hazards. So I wouldn't choose things like carrot coins or hot dogs that might be easy to choke on. But also going to the dentist to see if the people may need adjustment to their dentures or to get dentures or to or anything wrong with the tooth or mouth. We do have clinics in Fairfax County that help people who need dental care. And
Okay. All right. And then I had another follow-up to that. You did mention Boost, Ensure, and those things, they tend to be expensive, correct?
yes, they can be. And that's just something that I remember when someone needed a lot of extra calories or they weren't getting it. They in an acute setting, we did serve that.
And you
Because some
can
people
buy
would
them, but they are expensive, yes.
they are
Yeah.
expensive, but some food pantries and things will have them. You can actually choose those items. I've seen them in some of the local food pantries.
Okay. I have another question. What is the best food to be taken for someone suffering from shingles?
Oh,
Is there any
shingles.
real connection between nutrition and shingles?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I know shingles is caused by the chickenpox virus,
Yeah.
but and it causes acute pain. Um, but I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't know off the top of my head about shingles and food.
Okay. Great. So, does anybody else have any questions?
Oh, actually, I just looked up foods high in vitamin B. When the nervous system is under attack by the shingles virus, it's important to include high in B vitamins such as grass-fed beef, cultured dairy, eggs, organic chicken, and wild-caught fish. So it says sugar decreases white blood cells that help fight off infection. But B vitamins, you can also get B vitamins in enriched grain products. Um,
Wow, that is really interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it says garlic and onions, both these herbs and vegetables contain allicin, which helps to boost immune function. Foods rich in vitamin C, oranges, yellow fruits, citrus fruits, green leafy vegetables are also important. These foods are high in vitamin A and calcium, which can boost immune function. So you are supposed to, yeah, increase your water intake too. Um, and remember, vitamins B and C are water soluble, so you do need a daily source of those. Um, it did recommend to avoid sugar, fruit juices, caffeine, carbonated beverages, and fried foods because if you avoid these, you'll heal faster.
Okay. So I
Okay.
just got another question. How much water do I need, and is it the same for older adults or people over 60 or people under 60?
Well, as we get older, our sense of thirst diminishes, so it's important to drink even if you're not thirsty. The rule of thumb, the taller, I mean, based on, they recommend at least 8 glasses, but some people might need 9 to 12, depending on their height, their weight, their activity level. But as you get older, you still need the fluid, but you just may not be as thirsty. And if you do have any caffeinated beverages, they recommend replacing anything caffeinated with water. So just say every day you drink 2 cups of coffee, and that's caffeinated. They recommend you to drink an additional 2 cups of water or non-caffeinated beverage to replace what, because caffeine is a mild diuretic, they do recommend you drink some non-caffeinated beverage to replace that. But water or fluid is very, very important, and it counts, everything counts. So if you're drinking soup, you're drinking water, juice, and things like watermelon are 94% water too, so you can sometimes count things like that in your total fluid intake. But fluid is very, very important for older adults because the sense of thirst diminishes as we age.
Great. All right. Well, if anybody else has a question, just type it in real quickly right now. We're going to start to wrap up as we're fast approaching 1 o'clock. So I will say thank you so much, Maria. This has been really a lot of great information, and we're looking forward to hearing from you again in the future. This webinar has been recorded, and if the recording successfully downloads, I will send it out to everybody who signed up for today. And when you sign off, you will get a brief survey, and we would very much appreciate you filling out the survey for us and helping us to make these better for the future. This is the last of our webinars for the fall series. We will be back with a spring series of seminars and webinars. Thank you once again, Maria, and everybody for attending.
Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks.
You were great. Thank you. Bye now.